County deputies are still trying to fight traffic as well, but they have fallen too far back, and right now we're hearing that LAPD is not getting involved at this point, at least not yet. They don't have the resources to dedicate right now. They do have their helicopter helping out, so at least they're able to see in the vehicle with their infrared technology. They're able to call out the location at least for the next couple of miles. But once air traffic becomes a concern and the marine layer becomes an obstacle, things could change here. But I have a feeling we may see him attempt to exit the freeway a little bit sooner, but there's still marine layer issues, across West LA right now, from Inglewood all the way north into Santa Monica. The entire west side is rapidly fogging up now. So you can see him using that right shoulder, slowing down a little bit at least, just trying to get around all of this rush hour traffic. It's been a while since we've seen a really serious pursuit through very heavy traffic like this, and it's a really nerve-wracking situation for everybody involved. And in this situation, it's actually the last thing law enforcement wants to see without knowing just how dangerous and desperate the suspect is, because if he resorts to even more aggressive or erratic driving, obviously you have the potential of people getting hurt, especially when you're talking about rush hour on a Friday afternoon in the middle of a very congested 405 freeway. You just don't know what the person behind that wheel is capable of. So right now we're just crossing our fingers, hoping that he starts to calm down. Maybe his adrenaline starts to come down a little bit and he can think twice about continuing this dangerous adventure down the 405 freeway with all of the eyes on him. But of course, we already know that he's wanted for shoplifting and assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. So at this rate, you have to assume the worst. Well, they are trying to catch up. Everybody's trying to catch up. Now he's coming up on Venice Boulevard, and we'll see if he actually decides to take this exit. If I was him, I would take that exit. This guy, a little more unpredictable and not thinking very clearly. In fact, he's going right over the gore point. Looks like he wants to stay on the 405 freeway. He had Venice Boulevard, Washington Boulevard. It looks like he's bypassing all of those. The next freeway is going to be the 90 freeway, and that will be a real opportunity for him because the 90 freeway is always a wide open freeway. It never really gets too crowded, especially well, it never gets that crowded. So he will have an entire freeway to play with if he decides to get off there. But not for long, yeah. And you don't want to be stuck on Lincoln traffic on a Friday afternoon. So that is a great point. And yeah, unfortunately, though, if he does take it west, he will lose all the helicopters because I'm looking at the right side here, and it is a solid bank of clouds as far as all the way out to the beach. So, I mean, if he does take the 90 freeway, unfortunately, he may very well get away. Still, even at this juncture, we are not seeing anybody behind him. You know they are trying. They are making every attempt to get units in position here. But right now, the call to hold off CHP earlier in this pursuit may prove to be a mistake. At one point, CHP was ready to take this over, and Ventura County basically declined the help. They basically said, listen, we've got this. We've got units behind them. We have the helicopter up. We're good. And then they lost them. And that's when the helicopter basically took over, and now there are no units behind him, especially with all the traffic here. So there might be some Monday morning quarterbacking here. In any event, everybody is working cooperatively to try and get into position here. You can see him now hugging that right shoulder. This would be the path of least resistance to the 90 freeway if he chooses to take it. Staying on the 405. Yep. Well, it will. In fact, the clouds thin out a little bit. So we're gonna make every attempt to get over this cloud bank here, and we may lose visual for a short time, but hopefully not for long. The marine layer is still holding over the Playa Vista area and hasn't really crossed over the 405 just yet. So LAX is socked in, Playa Vista is pretty much socked in, but he's taking this 405 southbound straight past the airport. He's going to go through Inglewood if he continues down the 405 freeway, which he does seem to be showing every intention of staying on the freeway. Now he's getting over to the shoulder, off the freeway, now onto the curb there. It looks like he is choosing to get off at Howard Hughes, or maybe he's going to now he's just riding that gore point. He's going to have to make a decision here in about 100 feet. Now, there is a cloud right there. We're going to try and keep up here and see if he gets off at Howard Hughes or stays on the freeway. He might have just been using that gore point to squeeze through those cars. Once again, getting back on the shoulder. If he stays on the shoulder, he'll get off the freeway. Or he could swerve to the left like he did a moment ago and commit to the 405. Again, a lot of decisions here and questionable decisions to say the least. But let's be honest, he hasn't made a lot of good decisions today. So we'll see. Yeah, staying on the 405. Yeah. Exactly. Finally getting off at La Tejera Boulevard. That is good news for law enforcement, bad news for us because we are trying to get permission to climb over LAX here. Air traffic control keeping us a bit north, and we're going to shoot this as long as we can. But now that he's getting onto surface streets here, he's going to be taking the westbound side of La Tejera Boulevard, where we are going to have the challenge of those buildings that are going to block our view here. But he is now going westbound on La Tejera, heading towards the airport. Yep, heading towards the airport. We're going to try and keep eyes on him as best we can. But right now, it is only helicopters overhead. There are no units behind the suspect. Speeding up again, and fortunately not a whole lot of traffic here. But the problem is once you're on surface streets, the risk level intensifies. So even if there were units, they'd be extra careful now because now he's off the freeway and they have all of that surface street traffic, especially on at this time of the day, that they would have to contend with. And see, here he is at a red light here. We'll see if he shows. I mean, right now he doesn't have a whole lot of pressure on him, if you will. He doesn't feel that pressure most likely, so he may continue on as if he thinks he's gotten away. It looks like he just made a southbound turn there onto Airport Boulevard, heading towards Century now as he makes his way through the Westchester Avenue, a little bit more residential as he continues down this section of Airport Boulevard, coming up on 83rd Street in Manchester, right off the nose there, and he will have more options ahead of him. Right now you can see, thankfully, LAX has allowed that LAPD helicopter to enter the airspace there and keep close eyes on the suspect. So LAPD, at the very least, at least has a clear view of the suspect. And thankfully, the Marine layer is holding. It's holding steady. So if he continues southbound, and we're going to continue with him here, it looks like we've gotten clearance to creep up here on LAX. It looks like he's going to continue southbound down Airport Boulevard, and that'll eventually take him towards the airport. We'll have to make a decision, either go left or right north of the airport. Does sound like LAPD is trying to get in position right through a red light there, right through cross traffic, and a near miss right there as he sped through that intersection. Now coming up on Century Boulevard, a left turn, going eastbound on Century Boulevard, driving much more aggressively as he feels some pressure. Apparently that LAPD ship is right overhead, and he is well aware of that helicopter. I got to tell you, he has dramatically increased his speed here just in the last few seconds, speeding through that intersection, now making that wild left turn, and once again, we're seeing him do much higher speeds. I got to remind everybody here, when we first picked up this pursuit, he was really booking it down the 101 freeway and showing real intention of, just speeding away from law enforcement, which is exactly what he was able to do. He was really able to speed into rush hour traffic, evade those ground units, but now he is stuck in rush hour traffic on surface streets here in Westchester without anybody behind him. But again, he's at least got that helicopter right overhead. That's it. That's it. Yeah, there's nobody down there. LAPD, I venture, they are broadcasting it right now, so the units on the ground are well aware of this pursuit. Inglewood PD is likely aware of this pursuit as well, but we don't have their frequency up right now, but it's a safe bet as they continue down. Look at that. There's a motor unit. Is that a motorcycle officer? It's a motorcycle officer. Somebody has caught up with him. A motor unit, possibly a chippy, is right, two CHP units. CHP has now re-engaged this pursuit, and now we know why he is speeding away there. So he is now continuing down Century Boulevard here. He's continuing eastbound away from LAX now towards the 405 freeway. We're going to do our best to get back over it here, but right now we are communicating with LAX to try and get a better position here as he comes under the 405 freeway, continuing on Century Boulevard, but now, for the first time in quite a while, he now has those lights and sirens blaring behind him, going around traffic briefly in the oncoming lanes, through another red light. Again, cross traffic, nearly missing him there as he failed to yield for that turn, that person who was trying to turn there. Now he's continuing on Century. So he is really driving much faster than we've seen at any point in the last half hour or so, and this is getting more dangerous by the second. Yeah, the one good thing here is that it's a motor unit who has caught up with him. Again, that motor unit has a little more agility than your average patrol unit, right? So he is going to be able to keep up with him and squeeze through some of that traffic if he does encounter heavy traffic once again in situations where, again, a regular patrol unit might not be able to keep up at a safe distance. So right now, he's continuing through a residential neighborhood here, speeding up to Mansell Avenue, coming up on 104th in Inglewood, CHP right behind him as they safely make the turn with him. Again, that primary unit is a motor unit, followed by a CHP Interceptor, that SUV, making the turn with him here as they continue with 2 units in his pursuit. Inglewood PD monitoring the pursuit as they are in the city of Inglewood now on 104th Street. Yeah, now this is hard stopping here, going through this parking lot here with units in tow here as he does a circle around the shopping plaza, now coming back on Lenox Boulevard to answer your question. That was a close call right there, really close call, inches away from colliding with that car. That motor unit, again, keeping up with him as he continues up Hawthorne Boulevard. To answer your question really quick, I could tell you that we don't know whether he has randomly ended up in this neighborhood, but law enforcement does know. I understand that they do have an accurate plate and registration for this vehicle. They believe they know where this suspect resides. At least that's the information that they're operating with. So they do have the luxury of knowing where the suspect lives. We will see how that affects their decision making here. Look at him pulling into that turn lane, and those CHP units now back about 100 feet, maybe a little bit more than 100 feet back as they try and I guess calculate his next move here. They're not going to execute a felony stop in the middle of all that traffic, but they are going to bring this to a stop at some point if they see a safe opportunity. But they are certainly acting very tactically here as they pause, waiting for the light to turn and figure out what their next move is going to be. Look at this officer getting out of the vehicle for some reason. This is interesting. Haven't seen this. Not clear what he knows that we don't know. But that officer now out of his vehicle, and I don't know if something is wrong with the patrol car or what's going on here. Somebody, okay. So somebody, yeah, these are people walking through traffic, washing windows. This guy is stuck at the intersection of Hawthorne Boulevard and 111th Street at a red light with heavy traffic. CHP a few hundred feet back here, basically holding their position, waiting for the light to turn. The light is turned. People are turning. Let's see if they turn with him here or what the next move is going to be. Look at him continuing through the red light, going straight through cross traffic, continuing north or southbound on Hawthorne Boulevard. We'll keep the camera on the car, but we do want to find out here in a minute or so, whether that CHP unit has continued or whether they've called. Okay, so the motor unit is continuing, and so is the Explorer. So there you go. CHP now taking this onto the freeway. As he gets onto the freeway, this is going to be the left rear. I'm sorry, left rear. I don't know what that means, but okay. So he's on the 105 freeway. Something going on with the left rear tire, possibly, as he makes his way onto the freeway. And you can see California Highway Patrol trying to keep up with him as he really speeds onto the freeway. Traffic is moderate to heavy, so he's going to be hitting the brakes here in a little bit, but he does have a little bit of room to play with, at least for a half mile or so as he gets onto the freeway here. If he stays on the freeway, he could very easily get right back off. There are plenty of exits here on the 105 freeway. So California Highway Patrol now with their SUV right behind him, and now LA County Sheriff's helicopter, the third helicopter that we've seen pursue this suspect down the 105 freeway now. Heading east on the 105, yes. Eastbound 105 freeway. Yeah, and despite all those eastbound exits, he has now managed to weave all the way across to the carpool lane where he's going to be fairly committed. Fortunately, that HOV lane is wide open for him, but he's going to stick with the 105 freeway here as he continues through Hawthorne. But so are those CHP units. There's really nothing stopping them from keeping up with him at this point. Yeah, clear skies as he makes his way further east. All of the clouds are pretty much behind us, so as we continue east, it will become much less of a factor, at least for now. So good news on that front. Plenty of helicopters at the disposal of law enforcement. Think about it. We have seen a Ventura County Black Hawk helicopter over this pursuit, an LAPD helicopter, and now a LA County Sheriff's helicopter over this high-speed pursuit. Dangerous shoplifters on the run from Camarillo, where there was a shoplifting event at a Target. Organized crime detectives on the case, and the suspect apparently ramming into law enforcement on the way out of that Target. So all resources at the disposal of law enforcement are being used to follow this pursuit to see it to its bitter end. But right now, this suspect showing no signs of giving up this chase. Yep. I'm not seeing it, although it might, I don't see it. I'm not sure if it was maybe the tire or perhaps maybe he Maybe he came in contact with the vehicle. I'm not sure what that was about. Anyways, he is continuing, approaching Vermont Avenue here on the Century Freeway. So again, he's weaving across all lanes. I'm looking for any signs of getting over to the right. If he starts thinking about an exit ramp, we'll see that move here pretty shortly, especially as he makes his way into the South LA area here. Lots of opportunities, and again, depending on where he lives, it could lead us right back home. Look at him getting over the Gore Point, getting off the freeway. Taking the 110 freeway. That's going to be the 110 transition. Does he go north or does he go south? Right will be south. Left will be north over the Gore Point, left or right. Which is it going to be? He's going to make a right turn onto the southbound side of the Harbor Freeway now, making his way down the 110 freeway, using the shoulder on the elevated ramp there to get around that traffic. He is now trying to put a little bit of distance successfully between him and that CHP officer. We'll get a better idea. I'm trying to look out the window to see how far back that California Highway Patrol unit is, but right now he has put a little bit of distance between them. There he is. Yep, there's the SUV. SUV was able to manage that traffic on the transition there. They've been able to catch up with him, and there he is, no more than a few hundred feet behind him. Again, high-speed pursuit now down the 110 freeway where traffic is relatively light. In fact, light traffic all the way down to San Pedro. 90 miles per hour. We know that Ford Mustang is capable of speeds much higher than that. So he's not exactly, he's doing above freeway speeds, but, he's, we'll see what happens here. He looks like he's hugging that right lane again. He's definitely putting a little bit more distance there, but right now they're having no problem keeping up with him. They're now pushing about 100 miles per hour, so he is starting to apply a little more gas there as they get close behind him, and that may play into their decision-making in terms of how much room they give him to play with versus how much pressure they take off of him with the hopes of maybe taming the driving and taming the speeds a little bit. They're not going to let him go by any means, but as long as they can keep an eye on him and they have the tools at their disposal above him, then those helicopters could easily take this over if the watch commander or the supervisor makes the decision to lay off a little bit and give him an opportunity to slow down. Now he's getting off the freeway here, getting off of the 105 freeway. I'm sorry, 110 freeway, excuse me, getting off the 110 freeway. Heavy traffic at this red light here. Look at that cruiser. Look at that cruiser keeping up with him, going right through traffic, splitting lanes with him as he comes up on Redondo Beach Boulevard. He's right at Redondo Beach Boulevard, and he might get right back on the freeway, just using that exit ramp to get off. Looks like that left rear tire is having real trouble. So at some point, somebody either made contact with that tire. I certainly have not observed any spike strips. I didn't see any chance of that. So at some point, he did collide with something that is now eating up that rubber, and now that left rear tire is on borrowed time. That may be the beginning of the end of this pursuit, guys. He is now southbound on the 110 freeway with a very unstable left rear wheel. He's dragging something. I'm sorry, David and Giovanna, that side skirt's coming off the vehicle. That side skirt is now dragging on the pavement there. That may be what even punctured the tire. He must have collided with something that has done some actually pretty serious damage to the vehicle here. He's now getting off at the 91 freeway. Getting off at the 91 freeway. They were just prepared to shut down the 110 freeway behind him, CHP, getting a traffic break in place, but now he's getting off the 110 freeway, getting onto, I think, the 91 transition here. That's right. Yeah, unfortunately, he just took the westbound 91 freeway. I say that because that's where eventually, as we continue west, that marine layer is going to come into play once again here, unfortunately. So this chase has had all the elements. Okay, so he's got suspect out of the vehicle, driver's side door open, suspect out of the vehicle. We're going to come around this tree here. He is stepping away from the vehicle, now coming around the back of the vehicle, behind the Mustang, CHP in position to take that suspect into custody. He will quickly be placed into handcuffs, and it looks like they're rushing to either rushing to clear the remainder of the vehicle, unless somebody else went running. We're going to come around this tree here to see if we can see what's going on here. But right now, they are in the process of clearing that vehicle. I don't know if anybody else was getting out. It looks like that passenger door is shut. So I believe, just judging from what we've been able to witness here, it's just the driver that is involved. He is being taken into custody. They have cleared the vehicle, code 4, and wow, what a sudden end to this. Oh no, somebody else is in custody. Somebody else, a passenger, is out of the vehicle and in handcuffs. CHP placing 2 people under arrest out of that yellow Ford Mustang. That was it. Yep. Thankfully, now they're going to be shutting down the 91 freeway. So just a heads up, if you're making your way home, the 91 freeway coming to a complete halt here, and yeah, just off the 110, guys. You got it. Thank you, guys.